My name is Eleanor, I'm 62, and I flatlined for 11 seconds in the ICU while my family was on vacation in Maui. They left me a note. Before I tell you how I disappeared with every penny they thought was theirs, and built a life they could never touch, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. It's good to know you're out there. It all started with the beeping. A steady, rhythmic sound that pulled me out of a thick, heavy fog. I opened my eyes to the harsh white of a hospital ceiling. A kind-faced nurse named Carlos was checking my foredrip. He smiled. "Welcome back, Eleanor. You gave us a scare." A scare. He told me I'd had a massive stroke. My heart had stopped. For 11 seconds, I was gone. He asked if I wanted to call my family. I glanced at the bedside table. Next to a plastic cup of water was a piece of paper, folded in half. It was my daughter Jessica's handwriting. My heart gave a little flutter. They were here. I opened it. The note was short. "Mom had to catch the flight. Awful timing. In Maui for 12 days with Megan and Paul. Hope you're better when we get back. Love you. Love you." The words felt like ash in my mouth. Carlos didn't know they were in Maui. He didn't know the first thing I saw when I came back to life was a postcard from paradise, telling me I was on my own. I told him, my voice raspy, "No, thank you, Carlos. They're busy." For the next 8 days, my hospital room was a silent tomb. No calls. No flowers. No visitors. Just the steady kindness of Carlos, who learned I liked Earl Grey tea with a slice of lemon. He was a complete stranger, yet he was the only one who bothered to ask. In that silence, my life played out in my head. I remembered every sacrifice, every time I'd put their needs before my own. The clearest memory was from Jessica's wedding. I'd just cashed out the savings bonds my late husband, David, had left for me. It was supposed to be for my dream trip to Italy. But Jessica wanted a bigger venue, a designer dress. "It's my one special day, Mom," she'd said. So I wrote the check. A year later, when I mentioned maybe finally taking that trip, she'd waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, Mom, that's a little frivolous, don't you think? At your age?" Frivolous. My one dream was frivolous, but her fourth bridesmaid dress wasn't. I paid for it all. I paid for my son-in-law Paul's bad business investment. I co-signed my daughter Megan's first mortgage. I was the family bank, the emergency contact, the built-in babysitter. I was a resource. Not a person. The day I was discharged, I took a taxi home. The silence in the car was a heavy blanket. When I stepped inside my own house, the one David and I had built together, a chill went down my spine. The air was stale. My favorite armchair was gone, replaced by a sleek, modern thing I'd never seen. The walls were half-painted a grim, sterile gray. In the corner of the living room, my wedding photos, my pictures with David, my entire life, was packed into dusty cardboard boxes. It felt like I had walked into my own mausoleum. Then I saw it. On the dining room table, sitting right in the center, was a stack of glossy real estate flyers. The main photo was of my house. My home. Underneath it, bold letters screamed, "Price to sell." My blood ran cold. It couldn't be. But next to the flyers was a manila folder. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a power of attorney document. And at the bottom, my signature. I remembered it now. 2 years ago, for a routine knee surgery. Jessica had insisted. "Just in case, Mom. So we can handle things for you." Handle things. So this was it. This was what they were handling. I sank onto the cold, unfamiliar sofa, the papers shaking in my hand. They weren't just on vacation. They were waiting for me to die. Or, if I didn't have the decency to do that, they were going to erase me anyway. I thought that was the worst it could get. I was so wrong. I found the family's old computer in the study. My fingers flew across the keyboard, my heart pounding in my ears. I logged into our shared iCloud account. And there they were. Messages. Dozens of them. Jessica to Paul, the realtor says we can get it listed by the 15th. We just need her out. Paul to Jessica, is she, gone yet? The carrying costs are killing us. And the one that broke me. The one that shattered the last piece of my heart. It was from Jessica to her sister, Megan. Megan, I feel bad, Jess. She's all alone. Jessica, she's not alone, she's in a hospital. Besides, she was never good with boundaries. This is for the best. We can put her in a nice facility. We'll have our lives back. Boundaries. My life's work, my love, my sacrifices, were a boundary issue. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Not then. I walked into David's old study, the one room they hadn't touched, and I sat in his worn leather chair. I picked up a photo of us, from a lifetime ago, a family smiling at the camera. And I finally broke. I wept. I sobbed for the woman who had given everything and was left with nothing. I mourned the family I thought I had. The tears eventually stopped. And in their place, something cold and hard and clear settled in my chest. Grief was a luxury I couldn't afford. Rage was a fuel. I opened my laptop. I didn't search for my children's flight information. I didn't search for vacation packages to Maui. I searched for the State Bar Association elder law specialists. The next day, I met with a lawyer named James Pute. He was a quiet, professional man with kind eyes that didn't hold an ounce of pity, only focus. I told him everything. When I was done, I pushed the folder across the desk. They have my power of attorney, I said, my voice flat. He reviewed it. Then I gave him the heavy box of financial documents David had left me, the one I had never really looked through. James spent a long time reading through a thick document bound in a blue cover. Finally, he looked up at me. Mrs. Matthews, he said slowly. This power of attorney is irrelevant for the sale of your house. I stared at him. What do you mean? He tapped the blue-bound document. Your late husband was a very smart man. He placed this house, and the majority of his assets, into something called the Wilcox Trust. You are the sole beneficiary and trustee. Your children have no legal claim to it whatsoever. They cannot sell it. They cannot touch it. It is entirely and unequivocally yours. A slow smile spread across my face. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a woman who had just been handed a sword. James laid out a plan. A 6-month plan. Quietly, we would revoke the power of attorney. We would list the house with a different realtor. We would set up a new trust, under a new name. My grandmother's maiden name, Margaret Wilcox. We would move every cent. For the next 8 months, I became a ghost in my own life. I sold everything, the furniture, the jewelry, everything but a few sentimental treasures. I closed the bank accounts. I forwarded my mail to a P.O. box. And one cool October morning, I packed my small car, and with $595 in cash tucked into the glove box, I drove away from the life I knew and never looked back. I drove north until the cities melted into towns, and the towns melted into trees. I ended up in Pinewood, Maine. A tiny town with a population not worth counting, as the welcome sign said. I introduced myself as Margaret Wilcox. A retired librarian. A widow. Childless. I rented a small, cozy trailer for $595 a month. I started volunteering at the local library. I made friends. A 27-year-old waitress named Sarah, with a firecracker of a daughter named Olivia. Olivia started calling me Nana Maggie. We planted a small garden together. I taught her how to tell a story with all the right voices. For the first time in years, I felt my heart begin to thaw. I was at peace. Of course, peace like that never lasts. The local library, proud of its new volunteer, posted a 30-second video on their Facebook page. It was me, as Maggie, reading to a group of captivated children. It was heartwarming. It was sweet. And it went just viral enough for a distant cousin in Ohio to see it. Hey, doesn't this look like Aunt Eleanor? A week later, I was pulling weeds in my garden when Sarah came running out, her face pale. Maggie, she said, her voice trembling slightly. There's a woman at the library. She's asking for you. She says her name is Jessica. She says, she's your daughter. They stood on my small porch an hour later. Jessica, radiating fury and entitlement. And Megan, trailing behind her, looking pale and guilty. What is this? Jessica spat, gesturing around at my peaceful little life. What have you done? The house is gone. The money! Where is our money? Our money. Megan started to cry. Mom, we were so worried. I held up a hand. Silence fell. I looked at Jessica, at her expensive handbag and her furious, beautiful face, the face I had once loved more than my own. It was never your money, I said, my voice calm and clear. It was never your house. Dad left it to me. In a trust. A legal document that you never bothered to learn about because you were too busy spending what you thought was your inheritance. Jessica's face crumpled. The rage was replaced by sheer, sputtering disbelief. You're lying. We'll sue you. We'll tell everyone you're mentally unstable. Go ahead, I said, and I felt a profound sense of release. Please, do. Tell the court about Maui. Tell them about the note you left while I was dying. Tell them how you boxed up my life while I was fighting for it. See how that goes for you. I turned to Megan, whose sobs were now just quiet, hitched breaths. I'm sorry for you, Megan. I'm sorry you let your fear be bigger than your love. Then I looked back at Jessica. And for you, I feel nothing at all. I stepped back inside my home. My real home. And I closed the door. I didn't watch them leave. I walked to my kitchen window, where I could see Sarah and Olivia waiting for me in their yard. Sarah gave me a small, questioning smile. I smiled back. A few weeks later, a final letter from James arrived, confirming all legal ties were severed. I read it once, then tossed it into my small wood-burning stove. I didn't watch it burn. I watched Olivia, who was running across the grass, her arms outstretched, calling my name. Nana Maggie. And I walked outside to meet my future.